Hey guys, how's it going? So, in this episode of my vlog, I'm going to kind of probably get a little political, just kind of talk about things. Just because, I don't know, why not? I don't typically talk about stuff. And I can be argumentative when it's political, no doubt in that. But, just voice my opinion. And not necessarily 100% what I believe, but what I kind of see and stuff and hear, and yeah, I figure it would just be a good vlog. So if you don't want to listen to touching on political stuff, probably best to tune out. I'm not going to get too aggressive or anything, because at the end of the day, life is too short to really worry about political matters. I know some people would be like, well, we got to worry about political issues and matters, and that's what's wrong. People just don't worry about. Yeah, but I'm not going to worry about to the point of where I have huge arguments with people I know. It's just not worth it. Well, he shouldn't be on the road. Stupid. I guess it's hunting season. It must be. I don't know. I didn't think it was quite hunting season, but maybe it is. Whether you like or dislike our president, Trump, the stuff that people are like bashing him for, it's funny because it's mostly media, and I don't know how seriously to take comments, because comments are like assholes. Everyone has an opinion, has a comment to make. And a lot of times that's just to be inflammatory. Granted, I've done that on political issues. I mean, I think we all have. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And I know a lot of times people say, well, but there's paid people like spamming. I don't think it's really paid people on either side spamming Facebook or something on a news site, for example. I don't think it's paid people. It's just, accounts that are hacked, I think, a lot of times. And so is there a group behind that? Sure. But they're not out there paying individual people. I mean, if you look at a lot of accounts, it's usually just fake accounts created. That or the person's really a bore in life, because are you going to make an account where all your profile every single day, because I've looked at a lot of these, when somebody's like posting non-stop, you look at their profile and it's like they're cutting and pasting stuff, and their profile is political stuff all day, every day. And it's like, seriously? You have no friends? Because if you were on my friend list, you A, definitely would be unfollowed, and B, your stuff would probably still slip through the cracks. Yeah, I would probably just unfriend you, because Facebook, no one has 5,000 real friends. That's like bullshit. You might have, 10 family members and 5 actual friends on Facebook. I mean, a friend is somebody that is, as my father always put it growing up, and this is before technology times, a friend is somebody you can count on. A friend is somebody, if you got in trouble, whether it's you need bail money or you need $500 to get you out of a situation, and you went to and you said, hey, I need the $500, and and they have it, assuming they have it, and no questions asked, they're like, yeah, you're good for it, here's $500. That is a friend. A friend is not somebody you just occasionally talk to. And it's kind of my grump with my wife, my daughter's school, not my wife, my daughter's school, is schools, teachers are pretty liberal, but they like to call everyone in the class, that's your friend. No, it's not. They might be acquaintances. You might know them in class, but they're not your friends. So we just let the daughter kind of go with it, but once she gets to the age, that will be explained to her. Like, they are not friends, they are acquaintances. A friend and a best friend are totally different than just Johnny in class that you don't ever talk to. They are not your friend. You know, they kind of want everyone to sing Kumbaya in schools. So anyways, you know, to get back to, you know, whether you hate or like Trump, I mean, I'm not going to say he's the most ideal president, but I think out of the options, he was the best. You might say, well, why is that? Hillary had more political experience. To a certain degree, she did, because she was around politics. But you'll say, but she was a senator of a state, and she was a secretary of state for the Department of State. Well, I don't know. My father worked for the State Department, and he's retired now. But as he said, Hillary was the second worst Secretary of State we have ever had. He goes, her office, did nothing. And when any type of memo came from her office, it was always directing to the feelings of the LGBT, whatever, the gay, lesbian, gay community, whatever, the T, right? There's a T in there, transgender, but whatever, the gay community, on their feelings and how we have to think about them. And my father's like, that's all that came out of her office. So as for Secretary of State, she did a lot of traveling. She did not do a lot of stuff. And most secretaries of state are like that. You might be like, Mark, you just said no, she's number 2, so who's number 1? And I can only go by what my father says, being an employee, or was an employee of the State Department, and decently ranked up there with what he did. That Madeleine Albright was hands down the worst Secretary of State. She just loved to go to, I don't know if it was the UK or Paris, I forget which one he said, but she liked to go visit her daughter that was over there in school. And she always found excuses just to take a trip there to go shopping and visit her daughter on the taxpayers' dime. Stuff you just, but they all do that. Sadly, they all probably do, but she actually did zero, zip, nada for Secretary of State. These people that tend to get these positions, as you know, they're appointments, which is just a form of payback. Hillary felt she was cheated out of the first presidential election with Obama, but she was forced to accept that they went with him and not her. She hated that, from my understanding. She's a very vindictive person, and this is going through my years growing up with my father working, and what I would hear. I was in high school, so I didn't really give a shit about the politics, but this is what I would hear people talking about, would be grown-ups, the grown-ups working for the State Department, that, she's very vindictive. She's very, she was always jokingly said that she really ran the White House, that she was really the president, that Bill had no say. You might be like, whoa. No, that's how she is. They always were known to get in fights. They would change plans because of fights a lot. Hey, we're supposed to go over here, but they're yelling, so okay, we're past that time. Because, when they plan something for the president, they plan it down to the freaking minute. Like, you are going to get out of this car right at, 8:10 in the morning. You're going to go into there, you're going to meet for 20 minutes. Now, it doesn't mean that sometimes the president just kind of goes longer and this and that, but the Secret Service loves to stay on a schedule. They do not like changing stuff. So sometimes when it's drastic change, they'll just like look at the itinerary like, oh, you're supposed to go meet these people? You know, we can skip that. We don't have time now. In all honesty, of course they have time. They have their own plane. You know, it's not, but it just becomes a security nightmare. So they try to stick to a schedule that obviously they only know. But yeah, I don't think people know about Hillary. And we kind of talked about this the other night over Labor Day at my friend's house at his party. And yeah, I don't think people know Obama smokes because the media was nice. And there's only a few pictures out there, but they did not really, post a lot of pictures of him smoking. They kind of had a deal, like we won't post a lot of it, which is total BS. Imagine if Trump smoked, they'd be like, oh my God, he smokes 4 packs a day or whatever. They'd be counting it. It would be totally and utterly ridiculous. So there is for sure a double standard. But yeah, Hillary felt cheated on the election. She did. The first time. So being senator was kind of like payback, and obviously she ran in New York, which is liberal, so she had that in the basket. It's not like she ever ran against another party that would be a threat. And then she was appointed to Secretary of State, so she hit 100% an appointment, so she never earned anything she worked for. Now maybe in the early days as a lawyer she did, but she hasn't for a long time. She's been riding the coattails of Bill Clinton's success, and she feels she is owed that. She is owed to be president of the United States. No, you're not owed anything, and you haven't really earned it. Trump, I don't think he's perfect by any means. Remember, the Democrats really hounded him for, he's from New York, he's a liberal. Well, he lives in New York. Of course he's going to have liberal ideas. I mean, that's like not a no-brainer there. Anyone with a brain should be able to be like, well, of course, he's going to be more liberal than some of these other people running. I don't think he's really that religious. And I think he kind of plays that now to that voter base just because, well, you kind of have to on the Republican side. So you could say, well, that's kind of, he's being a fraud. Well, no, I think he's religious. I think he's like a normal religious person, meaning he might not go to church often, business comes first. He's gonna, he doesn't stick to the Bible necessarily for everything, but that's most religious people I've ever met. They might claim they follow the Bible, but then you see them lie and do stuff, and they're just a normal human being, but they don't stick to the Bible as much as they would like to think they do. It makes them feel better that they do, but they don't. Yeah, so in that regard, I think Trump is just like any other religious person. Maybe occasionally went to church, maybe occasionally, maybe he really does say grace for a meal or something, but that's probably was the extent of it, right? He's a business guy. He's busy with business. I see that in people that own their businesses, and they go to church occasionally, and they just don't have time for that. And it's not like their life revolves around the church. So yeah, some people get like hound on him because he's not he's not a Huckabee. I think Huckabee has some good ideas, but he's diehard religious, and I couldn't really vote for him based on that. But most people have good ideas. Obama had good ideas. I mean, sure, Hillary has good ideas. Bill Clinton has good ideas. Bush has good ideas. All these people have good ideas, or no, yeah, they wouldn't be voted at all. But him being a businessman, I think really it's weird how people are, because people of the past running for office were just might have had some military service and were a business person. They had a farm, you know, whatever. You know, they didn't have to run. They did it because they were a public servant. Which is how it should be, really. I mean, I don't know why people insist, and I've heard this argument that, well, we need a career politician, and a career politician is good. A career politician is not good. Why is a career politician good? Why do you want somebody in office? Do you want a fresh pair of eyes that bring new ideas, maybe new thought process to some things? And I think that's what Trump does, but people like get on his case. Now, does the guy have an inflated ego? Yes, I think most people would agree he does. But you look at a lot of the billionaires out there, yeah, most of them have fucking big egos, you know? That's nothing new. You look at politicians, yep, they have egos. Obama has an ego. Michelle Obama has an ego. They all have these big egos because, oh, you know, I'm so-and-so. So, you know, a lot of them are pretty, especially in the billionaires, they get pretty eccentric. Because, I mean, when you can buy anything, yeah, you know, your life to everyone else is pretty odd. It can be pretty odd. Like, you know, Trump's use of a lot of gold in his apartment. It looks really gaudy. I mean, he definitely likes, like, the look of the 1600s, 1700s of palaces. And, I mean, that's what he likes. That's good. He can afford it. That's fine. But most of us looking at that is like, oh, that's pretty fucked up. Or you got a painting painted by yourself and of yourself, and you pay $200,000 for it or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's a pretty big ego to hang a big portrait of yourself. You know, personally, I do love paintings. I always wanted like a portrait of the family, and pay somebody big bucks to do that. It's just have never like really looked into it, and it would be nice to do that at some point. Because to me, a painting, there's something about a painting painted by a person versus a picture hung on the wall that's taken and just produced. Not much. You might argue about the art aspect, but a normal portrait, there's not much art aspect. But when you add in somebody did all the brush strokes and it's on canvas and it's done with oil or whatever, yeah, that's pretty artistic. But, you know, I agree, he has a big ego. But I don't think that's really much different than a lot of these billionaires, you know. I love how people go on about his tax returns. Like, there is no law saying he has to provide his tax return. And maybe that's been a shitty thing for presidents just willing to give in for a long time. But then, I don't think most people would understand his tax returns. I admit, I probably would not understand his full tax return. And so the media would nitpick, and they would take out stuff without having any idea what it even means. And so he was able to legally write off business losses, and he can do that, you know, a percentage year after year after year. And because he has such huge losses, it's a big amount every single year. It doesn't mean he doesn't pay taxes. It just means it's reduced, and he lost a lot of money, in which you can argue he employed a lot of people. Yeah, they had to get let go, but while the business was operating, that was a lot of people working. You know, not all businesses succeed. You're gonna have failure, especially when you're diversified and you have so many different businesses. You know, you have a great idea, and he's capable of, you know, if there's an idea, saying, okay, I'll back that with $10 million, and it's like playing the lottery. It might be a loss. And the whole idea of being able to write off your taxes against your future, you know, your future profits, is it encourages those with money to continually to invest. So kind of touched on taxes. let's like go into like everyday person taxes now. Your income tax. Personally, I do not believe that income tax is legal because it was never ratified by the majority in whatever year that was. I forget now, 18 something, I forget. I don't know the 100% stats on that, but I personally don't, but you're not going to go against the IRS. So I accept that we do need to pay some taxes, and I'm pretty much okay with it if it's fair. And then that's where I think like a flat tax, fair tax, whatever you want to call it, would be the most fair. And let's take 10%. It would be higher than 10. You know, they're saying 15, but for sake of just talking, say 10%. Well, they're still saying people that make under like 30 grand or 38 grand or whatever would pay like no tax. So they would still be, the only time that you would only pay on whatever you earned above whatever that number is, if it's 38 grand, 40 grand, whatever that number they decide, you would pay tax on that. So if you made 80, you pay on 40. Wow, doesn't that make sense? So if it was, 10%, if it was 10%, what is that? And you made 40, so it'd be $4,000. $76,000 after you pay $4,000 on the $40,000, because above the 40 that you pay. That seems pretty damn fair to me. The other benefit of having a much simpler tax system is we could say, hey IRS, we don't need 60,000 agents or 80,000 agents. I know they lowered it at one point and stuff, so I forget the recent number on how many IRS agents there are. But we don't need all those people. All we need is maybe 100 people in like a call center type building that you call maybe because you have a question. Yeah, even if probably don't even need 100 if it's real simple and if you cancel out all the loopholes, Now, downside, a lot of agents would be out of a job. The support staff for such a complex building and stuff, you wouldn't need them. Whoa! Wahoo! Flat tax, I think, is the way to go. It's just the most fair. Oh, but the poor person, well, they still wouldn't be paying any goddamn tax. That's the funny part. So that argument goes right out of the window. You're not paying any tax. Why do you think they would be paying tax? They're not. Don't you hate when a town passes something, they'll say like, we need to charge 1% on whatever because we put in new roads and we'll do this for 5 years and then it'd be gone. And then 5 years rolls around, at least in Colorado, they'll take a vote. They'll say, well, we don't need that, but we don't need that anymore, but we would like you to vote yes for us to keep the money, keep the taxes, because, well, we want to use it for this over here. And it's like, what the hell? And then they'll sell it, they'll try to sell it to you as, well, we're not raising taxes, or we're not asking for new taxes, but, well, you're not giving me a tax break either. I'm supposed to get a tax break now because that was paid for. It's supposed to go back down. And it's not even really a tax break because it's supposed to go down. But nope, these governments, they, try to sell it to you as it's not a new tax. Well, yes, it is. Because I would be getting money back. I wouldn't be paying that money anymore. They're trying to do that right now in Monument, Colorado with the stupid fire department. I'm all for a fire department, police department stuff, But it's like, you need new computers. One of the things like they're complaining about, we need our systems outdated. We need new stuff. Why don't we have a bake sale, put a GoFundMe page, and try to raise you some money? Put out there a figure, new computers is going to cost us $30,000. Can we, or whatever it is. I mean, it can't be much. We don't have the hugest fire department there is. You know, okay, 50,000. Let's say it's 50,000. Okay, well, let's see if we can get that. And then how about we try work with companies and say, hey, what type of deal are you going to give us? We're looking at your stuff, but we're going to shop around. I know it's government, so they'd be like, oh, well, we got to take bids. Well, that's not fair. How about having somebody that can fucking have a backbone and haggle for once? I mean, that's what a normal business does. You know what I did when I had to buy, all I had to buy was, I think it was 3 computers for the office. You know what I did? I called up Dell Computer. I said, hey, look, our enterprise is looking to expand their systems. And they hear the key word enterprise. There was systems. And we want to try out some of your computers. You know how much they came down? Oh my God, you know, $2,500 computers. Oh, we'll give them to you for like $1,200 because they think they're going to have a big sale. But see, those are the type of games a normal person understands and they play and they use to their advantage to save money for the company. Which, if I'm saving money for the company, I potentially am able to justify getting a bonus. I'm justified other people getting a bonus. Or money being used to, maybe we were only going to upgrade 3 computers, but now we can do 5. They think it's who cares what the Dell computer is? Some guy sitting there thinking he's going to have the score of a lifetime because it's an enterprise. He doesn't know we only have like 30 employees. What the hell does he know? Only what I tell him. So you play the system. So that's what government should be doing. And they do buy things in bulk, so they can, without even feeling bad, say, we have an enterprise system, we're looking at your computers, but we're also looking at these over here and this brand over here. And then it should be like, oh, you know, one of them they'll keep swinging the deal because they'll keep calling. And when you say like, well, they said that they could do like $2,500 a system and you guys said you would do 4, well, you know, they'll quickly say, well, we can beat that. And then when you go back to that other company, you say, well, they just said they'll beat that. They'll do now 22. What do you do? We'll do $2,000 a system. We'll beat that. I mean, worst case, they say no, and you find the happy, fair price, and you go with that. And maybe you pay a little more because maybe it had a little bit better features. So I mean, you do weigh that stuff, but you know what I'm saying. You get all your prices, and then you go from there and decide like, well, this system was actually nicer components and stuff like that. So why don't we have in the government professional hagglers? Why do we think this bidding system is fair? I mean, I understand how that came about because they're trying to say, well, you know, we don't want Joe Blow's brother to get the contract because, you know, whatever. Well, this isn't the 1800s. This is definitely not the, you know, 1920s, 1930s. So I understand why the bidding system, because then it opens it up for everyone. They can all bid, blah, blah, blah. But it makes no sense for, okay, you could keep the bidding system, but still haggle. And maybe have a committee that isn't tied to people that can say like, okay, you haggled, you saved us money, you know, there's nothing wrong with going with this company. And who cares if it is Senator Billy Bob's nephew that wins the contract? If he's actually doing a superior system for a cheaper deal, then I have nothing wrong with some senator's nephew getting the contract. And that's what doesn't make any sense. People all get too worked up on like, oh, some relation or some friend or some payback will get will get that contract, which is silly to think that way, because anytime you give, say you give Boeing, you say, hey, we're going to buy like 20 new jet fighters or whatever, they're going to, you're already, they love you. They love you, and you know that guy when he gets out of office is like, hey, remember that time when I approved the 20 new fighters and you made $1 billion? You got the billion. I mean, even if it didn't even matter, I mean, any normal person's going to play that angle when they get out of the office, right out of position, because you're looking for a job, you're looking to make more money, right? I mean, you're going to play that angle. Yeah, I just think how government works is just totally stupid. And just how what people complain about on the little things make no sense. I mean, we don't live in the past. It's kind of like the whole, well, I'll probably get a lot of hate on this one. It'll probably be, it's like the whole, like, oh, the gay baker won't bake a cake. I agree. Why should they be forced to bake a cake? I'm not even religious. I don't. If somebody doesn't like you that much, why would you even want to go to the place? It's all because you just want free money. You want fucking free money. That's all, the only reason. It's not about correcting the wrongs. It's not about making people do something they don't want to do, which maybe to a degree, but it's about payday. What did you lose on that? Oh, well, I was humiliated. Well, who, how, who? It wasn't even public knowledge until you made it public knowledge. So that is your problem, not anybody else's problem. Why did you want a cake by them if you knew they did not accept who you were? They act like they were, like, they lost something. They were deprived of something, which is what lawsuits typically are, is, you know, to make you whole again. Well, how are you being made whole again? Although they could just give went to another bakery, said that guy's crazy, left a freaking review and told all their friends and family, and been done with it. It would probably still been a news story, but there's no reason to go to court. There, you outed them in public. Move on.